You're watching the 420 Pace Network, found at 420radio.ca and paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
What we're talking about here is something which takes its place in the great unfolding of the defining of human freedom that characterizes the entire adventure of global civilization. In other words, we've got the Pope under control. That happened in the Middle Ages. Slavery has now been generally embraced as a bad thing to be into, and we've gotten that on the books as a bad idea. Women have been suddenly recognized to be human beings, and so forth. So this swelling bubble of aha and perception of the real nature of the universe should also include the sudden realization that governments have no business telling people what foods and spices they should prefer, that this is an absurd role for government.
I could not see for the fog in my eyes. I could not feel for the fear in my life.
And that spells a the best fine stereo.
Alan,
Ladies and gentlemen,
you having a nightmare? What if it's true?
ladies and gentlemen,
Alan, it's a possibility, isn't it?
the very word secrecy is repugnant
Secrets.
in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers
Constant, extreme danger.
which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger
Extreme danger.
that an announced need for increased security
This is Conspiracy Queries with Alan Carr.
will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control.
You're crazy.
And no officious, high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes.
Isn't the Pentagon suspicious that all the building would blow up?
Or to withhold from the press and the public
I think you're just looking at things for the first time.
the facts they deserve to know.
You've had your whole f***ing life to think things over. What good's a few minutes more gonna do you now?
The facts they deserve to know. They deserve to know. deserve to know. Deserve to know. Facts they deserve to know.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. All right. Green Crush is back. We've had a couple of weeks off in the summer because we needed to have a couple of weeks off in the summer. There were technical problems. I wish I was enjoying myself, really having a great time, really enjoying the summer. But it hasn't really been that way. It's been a bit of a slog. It's been a bit of a hot one. You know, you can't even walk around the city without being reminded how hot it is. And on that note, Green Crush, myself, I would like to thank all of the people. Dozens of them. I mean, I'm just talking about today, but also over the past couple of weeks, we've been enjoying summer. I have a dog, and I've been walking that dog. I bring him with me. He's here now in the studio. Isn't that cool? So the thing about Floyd is, I've had him for a while. I've had him for 3 years. So I'd like to celebrate the fact that I've had Floyd for 3 years, and I have some awfully good news for Floyd. And that news is that I have it on high authority from several people. Like I said, dozens of folks walking around the city. I have it on high authority that my dog needs to drink water. Isn't that amazing? It's hot out, right? So this is what prompts people to tell you, the person walking with the dog, that the dog needs water. I love this. I really do, because it's starting to explain why he's been a little less than chipper, these last 35 months or so. Give him water. Thank you, everybody, for stepping up and stepping out and telling me this valuable information. That my dog, who is a mammal that I've been living with for 3 years, needs water. I mean, they told me. It's not even like I had to reference check it. I was just, I really did hear from more than one person that the dog needs water. So I'm going out on a limb here. I've put a lot of things together over the past year, the direction of cannabis legalization, the cluster bomb that's about to take place when this legalization effort, that's not really legalization, as we know, if we're paying attention. This is a recriminalization, but I will be able to tell other people who have dogs with the same authority that I've been able to understand how taking cannabis prevented me from dying when they told me there was nothing else I could do. Just like I know that, now I know also that if you have a dog, my goodness, give it water once in a while. Because they drink water. Is that sinking in? All right, that's Toronto that told me that. Thank you, city. Representatives aplenty walking around, some with dogs, some without. All of them happy to point out these basic facts. Thank you so much. Ooh, he sounds a little sarcastic today. Well, I had to load it up because we still don't have a sarcasm emoji. I don't understand this. I do understand that our guest today is understanding of the fact that we are behind. We've been beset with technical difficulties for a while now, and I could have almost done the show last week, but it became majorly difficult at the last minute, and since it's not in your TV guide circled at 8 o'clock on a Thursday evening or something, you can listen to this anytime. And what this is Green Crush. We are a small collective, but preaching the truth. So that's all that matters, and hopefully more people will get on board. But that truth is that the green is cannabis, and The crush is what it can do to your health problems if you give it a chance and use it as a tool instead of running away from it like the fear cudgel that your supposed leaders are telling you all about the bad things about cannabis. And sometimes those bad things aren't even true, but they do. There are problems with cannabis. Sure. Like if you were smoking a joint in your house, one thing to do it safely would be to not light the curtains on fire. Okay, but you could go on and say, oh, another cannabis death and someone's house burned down. Yeah, because they didn't even know how a lighter worked. But you got to stop being disingenuous about how this stuff doesn't have any effect, okay? We're getting the plot now. We've already gotten it. I got it a long time ago because I had to, and other people are figuring it out because they had to, and other people are figuring it out because they're listening and they're open-minded and they're testing things. Here's something you can test. There's an old theory that says cannabis is bad for your brain. Only they didn't call it that. They call the devil's weed is bad for your brain. That's what they've been saying. And then we've been finding out that there are compounds in cannabis that actually love your brain. I wonder if there's an article about that. Oh, here's something in health and fitness. ehealthcare.cc. That's right, it's not on the cover of Time magazine. I think they had another unflattering fake portrait of Trump they needed to put on there, because there's not enough things he's doing. They need to actually invent photographs that don't even carry the truth and then get upset if he says it's not real. All right, so here we go in health and fitness. THCA. This is the acid that THC later that gets you high and does a lot of cool things. Other than that, healthy things. It actually is an acid, and before you heat it up, it turns out that acid, THCA, loves your brain, according to Health and Fitness. They mainly rely on the effects of the two most abundant cannabinoids. This is they being cannabis-based medicines. Of course, there's delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, that's THC, and cannabidiol, that's CBD. Are you with me?
Can I just get the CBD? I don't really want to get the THC.
Yeah, I know you've heard a lot of things, love, in the mainstream media, and you're just finally gonna swing over to CBDs, and
THC's a bit dangerous, my doctor told me.
So these compounds, however, are actually present, THC and cannabidiol, in the raw or the living cannabis plant under the form of acid. Not acid LSD. Settle down. Some of you are getting too far ahead. The plant itself contains carboxylic acid precursors to these compounds, known as the delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinolic THCA acid and the CBDA acid. These acids are easily converted to THC and CBD through decarboxylation, just a fancy word for heating it up to a low kind of hot temperature, 200, I think, 190, depending. Fahrenheit, of course. A process primarily triggered by heat, such as that applied while smoking or cooking cannabis, right? Decarboxylation also occurs naturally during aging and storage, so the shelf life of THCA is short. Yeah, if you leave it there for a while, it'll eventually become high ready. So this is pretty good because THC is not a psychoactive. It can be later when you heat it up, but it isn't if you take it in that form, and it's thought to have many of the same positive effects as THC without the heating up. Through the cannabinoid receptors. Again, we have these receptors in our body. Oh, is this your first show? Gosh, go back to number 1. Tuck in all the hours that we've put in here and catch up. But basically, if you don't want to do that right now, I get it. THCA and CBDA are acids inside the cannabis plant. Heat that up and you have the medicine. It's called THC and CBD. You also have cannabinoid receptors in your body. So this is why you do well when you ingest a substance that your body is geared to receive, right? So that's it. That's what we're talking about here primarily. But before we get further into things, we do have a prize giveaway, and then I'd like to spend a bit more time talking about our guest today, Shane Pulak from Blackfeet Trading. No, hang on. That's not right. I just rushed into that because I wasn't sure. And because it's live. This is the part they would cut out if it were live. And it's not. I'm not embarrassed. That's the way it goes. Okay, so here's... Right on. Here it is. Oh, yeah, we're getting to that. Hang on. We're getting to the contest. Relax. So here we go with, this is cool. We've got a couple of things to clear up. So Blackfeet Health Products at gmail.com. Blackfeet Health Products. Blackfeet, Blackfoot Tribe out in Western Canada, also down into the States. We have a member of this tribe with us today. This is a native of Canada. All right, like one of the real ones. One of the guys here before the 150 crap we were trying to put over your eyes last year. Remember that thing? We're only 150 years old. Yeah, it's cool. But we're not. We're well older than that. And Shane is going to be on to tell us about a very important thing, and that is the connection between native understandings, spirit, cannabis as a medicine. We've got a lot of great topics. And hopefully the guys in Calgary are listening. I think they're in Calgary. We'll clear all this up later. We've had all kinds of technical problems. I'm too excited to get to it. And I'm just hoping Shane will be able to hear the folks in Calgary and vice versa. Otherwise, I don't know. Anyway, we'll get to it. But first, my goodness, let's get to something fun and cool. That last week we gave away some stuff. So let's talk about that. We have the moving on bumpers. Here we go. Let's get some music going, and we'll give away the official theme song of giving stuff away on Green Crush. Here we go. Yeah, you can feel the tension there. I can. Anyway, so we had Warren Bobro's Cannabis and Cocktails book, and this is a guy that makes all kinds of fascinating drinks. And again, if you're a new listener, you got to go back a few shows, listen to Warren Bobro. He is he creates these fantastic libations, these delicious drinks, and we've never had anybody on the show like that before, and we had a lot of interested listeners. So his book, okay, is available now. You can get it anywhere. Warren Bobro. It's WARREN BOBROW. He's got a book called Cannabis and Cocktails and some other cool books as well. And we did give one away to a lucky winner, so it's Carrie Lynn of Edmonton. Carrie Lynn of Edmonton. We are going to reach out to you to arrange the shipping. All right. But right now, a new product. What? Are we saying this? Okay, I'm going to give another giveaway, so that means I got to do the music again. Hang on. Yeah, that's the giveaway music. So now, here's what we have. We have a new company from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, and they are going to bring you, and they are bringing you, the best in 420 accessories and products online. They specialize in branded and wholesale orders. Visit them today at prohibitioncannabis.ca. Okay, here we go. Spell it. Prohibition, PROHIBITION, cannabis.ca, all lowercase. Get on there. And in the celebration of their new official launch, the crew has added a BC Maplewood rolling tray to their quality retail and wholesale product line. Green Crush is going to be giving away Prohibition Cannabis Company prize packs, which include this exclusive tray. What tray? The Maplewood one I was talking about a minute ago. Pay attention. So get on our socials at Green Crush Pod, at Green Crush Pod, all one word. And we're also greencrushpodcast.com, apparently. And thank you very much at CannabisDaily.co for putting that together for us. Also, so get on those at Green Crush Pods, at Green Crush Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and the Instagram. And you will have the chance to be just like Lynn, who has, or it's not Lynn. Is it Lynn or her last name was Lynn? I'm so sorry. Yes, our winner there out in Edmonton. Okay, so that's all that stuff. Now we're going to close the giveaway section with the closing music of the segment. This is how you do shows. Okay, so here's the closing music of the segment. See, that has a little bit of a tighter sting to it, right? It's a little bit of a tighter sting to do that. And, you want it to be short. I don't understand why people don't put more stings around things, like you could say, yeah, Mom, I'm coming down for breakfast in a minute, but I'm just finishing up tying my shoes. And just throwing a little sound effect like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. Or you say, all kinds of things. Anyway, get your own music. That's what I'm saying. It's almost as good as having your own show. Just have a little music thing around your neck, like if you get an Apple Watch and someone says something, just have your own little theme song. Like they do on sitcoms when you walk in. Anyway, I'm having a bit of a problem with somebody. Okay, so let's see here. All right. By that, I mean communication. We don't stop talking to people just because, there's stuff to do. We have a show to do. I mean, this is important stuff. We have to talk about important things like why they won't, even help a show like this or promote a show or allow a show that's promoting the use of cannabis. You're not allowed to promote it. You're not allowed to have nice colors on the package. You can't have giveaways. You can't have toys. You can't have all kinds of stuff. And meanwhile, here we are in Ontario and the LCBO under the new leader, Doug Ford. They're giving incentives to brewers to participate in a buck of beer.
Incentives, that is, for breweries that get on board with the province's plan to bring back Buck-A-Beer. CTV News learned the LCBO will offer premium shelf space, free advertising, and limited discounts for companies that reduce their prices. The perks are all ones brewers usually have to pay for. The province is expected to announce more details about Buck-A-Beer tomorrow. The issue was one of Premier Doug Ford's campaign promises, but industry experts worry lowering the minimum price of a bottle or can of beer to $1 could cause some companies to skimp on quality.
You think? I mean, how did they even do this? How do they decide to get this beer down to $1? And there'll be taxpayers' money involved. These people don't seem to understand. The one thing is that the cheaper the beer, the more satisfied, the more relaxed, the more laid back and apathetic are those who take it in, and would probably do better to criticize the very government that put forward that cheap beer for other reasons. Whereas with cannabis, the reason you want to keep it under wraps and not promote it is it promotes intellectual dissent. You see through a lot of the bullshit from the leaders, or so they call themselves. So back we go to cannabis.
Hello, my name is Dr. David Allen. I'm a retired cardiac surgeon and a member of the International Cannabinoid Research Society, ICRS. That means I'm a cannabinoid research scientist. And I'm here to tell you about the discovery of the endocannabinoid system, the ECS.
A doctor saying this.
And the significance and how it will change medicine. And we discovered the endocannabinoid system about 30 years ago, and we really didn't understand the significance of its discovery. And so we found out that this is a chemical communication that your body has. It's not electrical, it's chemical, and it's kind of like the hormone systems that people are familiar with. And your body makes these cannabinoids. They're endogenous, so they're endocannabinoids, and they perform some miraculous functions in the body. And we're just learning the significance of these functions. And basically, the endocannabinoid system is responsible for homeostasis. Most people don't understand what that really means, but it's the body's ability to maintain itself and function in the proper environment. And so it's
What's that, doctor? That's the thing I always hear people telling me is all bullshit, doctor. Say it again, doctor. Okay, let's just hear that one more time.
It's the body's ability to maintain itself and function in the proper environment. And so it's critically important that doctors in the future understand this control mechanism. And we're finding out that that manipulation of this endocannabinoid system will control diabetes. It controls cancer. It controls whether you can survive a heart attack or stroke. And so this is critically important for doctors to understand this new science. And the discovery of the endocannabinoid system is the single most important medical scientific discovery ever, and will save more lives than the discovery and application of sterile surgical technique.
Wow. So I'm not being hyperbolic when I tell you all about how great it is. Now this guy is just casually plowing through. It's the best thing ever compared to surgical technique. And by that he means surgery, radical surgeries. He doesn't mean other medicines. We're not even talking about medicines right now. So he knows that. This is the thing I was telling you earlier about the THCA has a powerful neuroprotectant. This is something that goes in your brain that protects your brain. This is the exact opposite of what these vampires and jackals have been shrieking down the fear tunnels for the last 50, 60, 80 years. Oh, it's going to ruin your brain. You've been lying and you're caught. You're caught out. Now, the only thing is I don't actually have a bulldozer in the exact location of all the people that said these lies and continue to say them, but we kind of know where some of them are now. So that's what doctors are saying. That's what THC is. And then we also have here that in August 2015, the National Cancer Institute released a report on, this is like 3 years ago, right? Released a report on their website saying marijuana kills cancer. And you go, what? And then you go to their website and you click on that and it explains in Politics USA that the U.S. government's Department of Health finally admits marijuana kills cancer. You might be thinking that's amazing. Not really when they held a patent on it for doing so for so long while telling us it was bad for us. These people lie about anything that's important to you. Pretty much. About anything that's important to anyone. Now we've got this doctor speaking out, so now we're really on a roll. Let's go to England, where they say in the UK has legalized medical cannabis for prescription. This just came out late July this year. The UK's Home Office announced that cannabis-derived medicines will be rescheduled and available for prescription by August. They probably heard this doctor I just played a clip of, or someone like him. There are hundreds of them. The move comes following an official report recognizing cannabis has therapeutic value and recommending it even if it's only that. There's no reason to keep it away from us, and trust me, it's more than that. It's to be rescheduled from Schedule 1 to Schedule 2 in the States. In England, sorry. Pressure has been mounting to allow medical cannabis in the UK thanks to several high-profile cases of kids who suffer from epilepsy, like Alfie Dingley and Billy Caldwell. And of course, we had Dravet syndrome over in Ireland with Vera Toomey and her daughter Ava, who had this problem and has now taken the Irish government to task. Caldwell received a prescription for medical cannabis oil in Northern Ireland in 2017, but was eventually denied access when the Home Office pressured his doctor to rescind it. They're finally getting the idea. They're finally understanding that this stuff really works. And before we go to our guest today, who is of the Native community and understands this plant on a level that I only hope to, let me just quickly add in that the greatest thing about this medical advancement and all of these doctors is that in Canada they're saying it. They're finally saying that they're saying doctors want medical pot phased out after legalization. I mean, come on. Are you reading the same thing? I just gave you like 10 minutes of why this is great stuff. And now these chumps are coming along. Jeff Blackner. This is going to be one of these pharmaceutical dudes. Let's see what he's got to say.
The Canadian Medical Association says doctors want to see Canada's medicinal cannabis system phased out once legalization kicks in. It says there'll be no reason for people to access cannabis through a physician when users can buy their bud at a local pot shop or dispensary. The federal government has tabled legislation that will make marijuana legal in Canada on October 17th.
Isn't that interesting that doctors, once we get this stuff available for everyone to take recreationally, the doctors, they want to get rid of the medical aspect of it. You don't need it anymore, right? So when you're doing stage 4 cancer and you need a pound of this stuff to cook into something, how about that? You know, you need a pound. Where are you going to get that from? Well, first of all, you're going to pay $454 in tax on the thing because they're going to tax it at $1 a gram, on top of some other taxes, which are only based on some other taxes designed to escalate in such a taxing situation that more taxes will be added later. And when the budget goes up next fall, it'll be going up as well. These idiots think they're going to sell a $15 gram. Wow. Hey, CannabisDaily.co. They've always got some great stories on there. Check them out, will you? 80-year-old grandma in Michigan jailed for small amount of medical cannabis, and so it goes. But listen, if you're like me, you like baseball. And if you like baseball, you love going to Wrigley Field. And if you love going to Wrigley Field, it's a fantastic park, okay? It really is. Of course, these are the bubblegum people. Wrigley's Spearmint and Doublemint Gum. Been around forever. That's why they built it, and now they are looking at getting into the cannabis industry. Yeah, Doublemint, baby. Spearmint, spear this. It's a good sign for the cannabis industry, perhaps, if Surterra CEO Jake Bergman says Wrigley's getting involved with their company. Jake Bergman being the CEO of a weed brand, of course. Surterra, getting involved in the company shows marijuana is already losing some of its stigma. Already? You sound excited about it's already gone. No. Anyway, CannabisDaily.co.uk. Fantastic stuff. Do check them out. And once again, thank you for the website that we do enjoy. Big Pharma. Okay, one more thing now. We've got an arrest here, finally. Why? A billionaire has been taken down, it seems. From the DCNF. This is the, what is that? The district? I don't know what that is. Anyway, it's important stuff, folks. The District of Justice. The Department of Justice charged John Kapoor, 74, and 7 other current and former execs at the pharmaceutical company. Let's find out who that is in a minute. With racketeering for a leading national conspiracy through bribery and fraud to coerce the illegal distribution of the company's fentanyl spray, intended for use as a painkiller by cancer patients. So they knew it was causing trouble, and now these guys are actually going to jail. Some of them are going to jail. So it does eventually come around to a lot of people. Okay, and when I mean that, I mean bubblegum, from bubblegum to medical marijuana.
Money into a company that operates right now in Florida.
Yeah, that's the company. Sherman, okay, Sherman or whatever. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So listen, we're going to get our friend on the phone here. Let's see if we're going to summon Shane. Now listen, I've got a different iPad. I don't understand what's going on with this. Here we go. Press home to unlock. Done. Fire in the magic code. Done. Now where's this thing? Here we go. Skype. Our old friend who likes to disappoint us so frequently. Skype. Let's call Shane. Boop, ba, ba, boop, boo. Let's see where he is. Okay, come on. Shane is going to be, he's out in Western Canada right now. And, let's see where.
Hello.
Hello, Shane. Are you there?
I'm here, Alan. How are you?
Good. Just managing the board. Glad to have you on. Now, here's the thing. I'll say this right up before you tell folks all about yourself. I will say that we've had some troubles. You know that technically getting together. I don't know if you're actually going to be able to hear the fellas that we're going to try to connect to or not, and vice versa.
Okay.
So let's just establish who we are and where we are. and we'll leave the fellas on a wish list, and hopefully it'll work when we get to it. But tell the folks where you are. I've already introduced you as a purveyor of Blackfeet products. Tell us all about what that is, who you are, and how you come to the world of cannabis.
Okay, so I'll start off with first who I am. My name is Shane Pulak. I'm from originally from Welland, Ontario, which is the only Great Niagara there. And I live currently in central Alberta, and for a while now I've been working with a number of people right across the nation with the great Canadian Phyto Nutrient and Terpene Network. I'll say it again: the Great Canadian Phytonutrient and Terpene Network. It's got about 4,000 members on Facebook, and it's Canada-wide. A few friends from America have joined us there, and that was put together simply as a way to start looking at cannabinoids in a different light. I don't really see cannabinoids as a drug, I guess. I look at them more as a food because that's what they are.
Now, did we talk about this beforehand? Did I tell you to say that? Because I've said that before. And then I found Michelle Rost, her wrote a book called Vitamin Weed, and more people are starting to understand this. But this is a key thing that folks need to learn, okay? This isn't like, oh, can I do this for a little bit and then stop doing it? Do you say that about oranges? Do you say that about your favorite piece of meat? Do you say that about eggs? No. You don't say, "Oh, I'm all better now. I got some vitamin C. I don't need any more citrus anymore." Right? You need to keep putting it in the tank.
Absolutely true, Alan. So phytonutrients are vital for our well-being and our great health, and trying to eliminate some of the ailments that we're trying to deal with on a daily basis. And our endocannabinoid system that each of us have as a mammal, including all dogs and all mammals and whales, and they all have an endocannabinoid system. And that system is very important because it regulates almost everything, every other system in our body: the nervous system, the neural system, the cardiovascular system, our moods, our sleep patterns is all really controlled by the endocannabinoid system. And having that system in check and running proper, and the only way you can make it run proper is by ingesting phytonutrients. So this is why cannabinoids should not be looked at as a drug, but rather as a phytonutrient or part of our diet. It is food. Because
Shane, how long have you known that, though, personally? How long have you known that?
Since I've been, working in this, researching and developing these ideas, it came to me when I was looking at cannabis oil and thinking of my background in biodiesel and other lipids. And I thought to myself, well, because this is a lipid-based molecule that comes from a plant, well, thus it's a fat. Fats are part of our diet, just like proteins or just like complex carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Or, so this is an essential thing that we need in our diet. So thus it comes from a plant. It's phyto, Greek for phyto.
Greek, you can't say phyto is Greek for phyto.
No, sorry, but phyto is Greek for plant, and nutrients derived from the plant, phytonutrients.
Yeah.
So this is why they're nutrients. They're not. I'm not seeing them as anything other because we eat them, we consume them, and that's part of our diet. And I really want people to understand that. Let's move the conversation from, I guess, scheduled drugs, but rather start looking at more of a dietary way to ingest our cannabinoids, and they're vital for our well-being and our system.
You're saying that, I'm saying that. Let's also, I'm trying to remind the people of exactly who you are. I have a more a deeper tip of the hat for a person who is of native extraction that happens to know all this. Or anybody that knows all this, but particularly a native who has like ancestral historical reasons for knowing all this. So, for example, I know everything you just said to be true. This is my reality, and I understand it as accuracy. However, prior to this, the reason I found that out was through the emergency of tragedy. The emergency of the end of the road of difficulty, and I had to go scrambling to find this out. And what I had to do was pick apart a wallpapering of. You ever take down wallpaper from an old house? Usually there's another layer under that, and so it goes, and you kind of feel like you're never done. And,
exactly.
And I had to do that with the information veneers of fiction and lies that were atop these basic points. Like, I had to find this out in the last year and a half. I have learned about cannabis as a nutrient. I'm well into my probably the end phase of my life, having definitely passed any sort of midway point. And I don't understand why I'm only now finding out about this, a reasonably intelligent person who's been open to things, never mind being a person who's been sucked into believing every kind of brainwashing that comes along. But I had to learn this. Why is this stuff so hard and well hidden? You're not the first person to figure this thing out, neither am I. So why are we sitting there? You're saying the first thing we have to do is get people to understand it's a food. It's true, but then the second thing is you also have to understand the people you've been telling you it's poison and not a food are the same people that they got to get their comeuppance. You know, we can't let these folks continue to run things when we know they're spinning out these factories of lies.
No, it's true. So that factory of lies, I think, is starting to crumble on the weight of itself and is going to be irrelevant soon enough here. When I'm of just a little descent, my great-grandmother was of First Nation origin here in Canada, so I have just a touch. But when I started working with the Blackfeet Nation in southern Alberta here, they've been using phytonutrients since before time immemorial, and that's how they only view these products or these phytonutrients. They only see them as food. They don't see them as an escape, I guess, to use to get high. They see it as a part of their diet to eat to keep ailments away. So they've known that for maybe 5,000 years or more, and we don't really recognize cannabis or cannabinoids in any other form other than food.
Well, it is a big deal, and I'm so glad that you have found out about it. Now, exactly what is your company, and what do you do exactly? Tell everybody where it is, where we can find you, and what do you guys exactly, what are you up to? What are you doing?
So Blackfeet Health Products became a incorporated company with the province of Alberta on June 13th, 2018. So we're a really new company, but with a lot of research and development already previously done. We haven't launched our website, as that's being built as we speak right now.
Okay.
So Blackfeet Health Products is a majority-owned shareholder First Nation company. It is located on the Blackfeet sovereign territory here in southern Alberta, which extends down into northern Montana. So it's the Blackfeet Nation's on both sides of our so-called borders.
So that goes up to Calgary, right? I mean, from Calgary on down, sort of thing, in Montana.
Yeah, actually, the Blackfeet territory is a very large territory. It extends way up here into central Alberta. The boundaries are from the North Saskatchewan River down south all the way to Yellowstone National Park. So if you could imagine, the whole eastern side of the Rocky Mountains is basically Blackfeet territory.
Wow, that's pretty big territory.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's very big.
Yeah. So and so you get cannabis from, do you grow it in Alberta, or where do you, not to give away your ultimate secrets, but
yeah, we don't grow any cannabis at this point on the Blackfeet territory. We're exploring that right now, but we do grow a tremendous amount of hemp, and those are most of our nutrition and dietary products are made from that hemp grown here in Alberta.
Oh, that's great. So, all right. Well, the reason that we came across you is that Paul was in touch with you, right? Paul Hartman is a friend of the show. Paul's a green crusher, probably listening. Mm-hmm. He could be listening, or he could be tending to a plant right now. Who knows? Or a series thereof. Anyway, yeah. So how did you come to meet Paul? Get to know Paul.
So I tell this story. It's an interesting story. So dealing with phytonutrients, we're often dealing with plants. However, there's another huge component to that story, and that's all to do with mushrooms. And we're a big proponent of using mushrooms in your diet for the many benefits. They almost, maybe exceed that of hemp and cannabis, but the mushrooms are a great importance to us. So I had made some story. I put some articles about mushrooms on the Great Canadian Phytonutrient and Terpene Network, and Paul had responded and saying that he was very interested in mushrooms, and one thing led to another, and it's like the mycology as such. Mushroom as a mycelium constantly networking and noding. I think that the mushrooms are kind of cultivating us together rather than us trying to cultivate the mushrooms. So as mushrooms network, I feel it also networks people, because that was our first contact about talking about mushrooms, which led to him introducing us to the Green Crush and to Allen Park and to your whole company there.
Well, I'd like to do another show later on called Blue Mush, and it would be Blue Mush with Allen Park instead of Green Crush with Allen Park.
That's so cool.
But it could be, because I have spoken and with a few people and read many more things about how in that we have been the collective, the aware, or the aware that they are oppressed of us, have been fighting for a long time to get folks to realize that this stuff is a food, a vitamin. It does so make you feel better. It does so improve your lot. And we've been kicking at this can for so long now that they're finally back against the wall, spastically introducing a horrendous series of legislations. So we're getting a little progress done, but it's coming out badly. But I've heard from so many people that the next front is it's just the same issue again with mushrooms, that they're so healthy for you. Now, I understand some of this. I think they're great for your brain, but walk us through, walk the typical, not to insult the typical listener, but the average person really thinks about mushrooms strictly and solely in it's either a problem because you've got dampness, or they're in a culinary sense, like a beautiful truffle or what have you, and et cetera. But what is it about mushrooms that you are saying, and I suppose you mean any kind of mushroom, but perhaps more specifically, hallucinogenic mushrooms that are so good for you?
So just not the hallucinogenic mushrooms are good for you, but there's a whole line of medicinal mushrooms that are very good for our systems. They all carry a complex sugar called polysaccharides and some other terpenes, and it's those different compounds found in the polysaccharides and the mushroom terpenes that have really strong beneficial effects. Everything from antibacterial to antimicrobial, antivirus effects. So they can really boost one's immune system that's been compromised, maybe from things like cancer or HIV, things like that. So a compromised immune system, when you could bring in terpenes either from hemp or from the mushrooms, they really augment or boost those immune systems, so you can function and fight off viruses and fight off bacteria. And a good example of that would be like maybe the agarikon mushroom, which is grows strictly in the western forest of Washington and such, and they have really good properties, being that they're constantly being touched by rain. They're constantly being in 100-mile-an-hour winds. They'll live for 40 years, but yet they'll never ever rot, and they'll never get sick, and they'll never die. And so those kind of mushrooms are very important to us. And the compounds that are being found in mushrooms just blow anything away in Western pharmacological medicine. It's like pharmacological medicine is trying to replicate these compounds in a lab or whatever, and they might get it right, but it's not the original real compound.
Sure, no.
So they're not beneficial. So mushrooms are a very big part of our program going forward.
Well, our friend Paul, unfortunately, was growing mushrooms, and that's when he got caught.
Right.
But I'm sure he has a wonderful spot in his heart for mushrooms. Why? Just the other week we were. Oh, never mind. That's another story. Anyway, that's great. So we are going to get to that eventually, because these are, once you've fooled us, in other words, the cannabis has been the battering ram, if you will. The cannabis has been, so many years, like let's say the last 50 years of people going, come on, man, like we need to access this stuff, and it's okay, and they've been saying no. So finally it's open. I don't think it's going to take as long to get to the stage with mushrooms and psilocybins and these scientific awarenesses. Like, how do they keep on saying, well, we don't really know enough about this, and that's why we know it's dangerous? I mean, they get away with this kind of illogic all the time.
Illogic.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. So how's business? Good? You all right?
Yeah, we're doing okay. We're not really in a big rate across the country as of yet, but it's through little networks like this, getting the word out. And we continue to grow every day. We're finding more that our blends are starting to move away from just that, I guess that phytocannabinoid nutrient blend, where we've discovered other ways to kind of augment those blends. So like, for an example, we've just created an anti-diabetic blend that is good for people with type 2 diabetes. It doesn't necessarily help with type 1, but a type 2 diabetes, it does help. And it's a nice blend. It's got your phytonutrients, but more importantly, we've added things like cinnamon, which is really nice at regulating the glucose level in your blood. It helps to modulate that. Things like thyme, which is another great modulator, and myrrh extract. So
sir, how do you take this, in a liquid form, or what?
Yeah, this would be done in a tincture form. So it would be sublingually administered under the tongue, in a sublingual manner, and it sits there, 15-20 seconds, and that kind of gets into your bloodstream. Then you swallow it down, and and your digestive system takes care of the rest. We always encourage people to take your tincture with a warm tea, or something warm to get the liver warmed up, as this helps release some of those phytonutrients directly more into the system. We've also come up to find that using things like turmeric in these blends are really important for anti-inflammatory properties. So we've come up with 5 different blends. Ones that include, like I said, the anti-diabetic. There's the anti-inflammatory for people that are struggling with, arthritis. It helps to relieve some of those symptoms. We have another one with an anti-anxiety. Most of the people we deal with, a great majority are people who suffer from mid to severe anxiety. And this particular blend was inspired by my mother, who suffers with mid to severe anxiety. And she was like, Shane, I just started this new job, and I'm nervous in the morning, and I shake so bad that people are noticing I'm shaking, and it really bothers me. So I had to think of, like, geez, how am I going to kind of calm that nervous system down? So through intensive research, we found that believe it or not, hops that you find in beer they have a great amount of myrcene, which is a terpene that is really sedative. It's also the same, terpene found in a lot of indica cannabis strains. That's why it gives you that couch lock. But, hops is really good at calming down the nervous system. And something else we added to it is also chamomile. Chamomile extract is also a sedative and makes you calm. Maybe a lot of people understand chamomile when they deal with chamomile teas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is incredible to me. Like, how many more? Like, you got lavender, all these things, ginger, probably, right? I mean, this is same old, same old. No offense, but this is all the news that we have been consistently ignoring. Oh, turmeric. Oh, honey, garlic. These things are all real. Like, we're just waking up to the fact that we put them into fantasy land, and then we started to get on our knees and pray to boxes that were coming out of factories in the 50s and 60s, and now we're just kind of waking up out of that slumber. You ever feel that?
Yeah, it's totally going on. And it's just like the First Nations been using many of these roots and these extracts for a long time to treat their properties or their anti-inflammatory properties. Most pain is caused by inflammation, and we know that, by using things like black pepper, turmeric, hops,
Sure.
And other cannabinoids, they really help to treat that inflammation.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. I encourage people to, on the one hand, I mean, on the one hand, technically speaking, I'm in trouble or risking my ability to put these shows out on YouTube and mainstream platforms anyway, just by highlighting these positive things. Now, all I ever do is talk about the positive aspects of this, and I address the negative aspects on the show in a way that I really think is fair, and I don't think that the governments and those agencies are addressing the good facts the way it ought to be fair. I mean, they've been telling us all the dangers of cannabis without sharing any of the positive information, and that's just a disingenuous approach that I think it doesn't really work anymore. Not on people that are, as they say on the show, once you're enlightened, raise your fist. I don't understand why people still take in so much of what the government has to say about these compounds when they've been fighting so hard, and they keep getting shown that they do so work. They don't want to give up any ground. Now, listen, we're going to try to bring some of your friends on here. These guys are in Calgary, right?
No, they would be down south of Calgary. They're going to be located on the Blackfeet territory, just north of Cardston, Alberta, which is right on the Montana border.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that we're going to reach them. I'm pretty sure we'll reach them. I just don't know that you folks are going to hear each other. So tell us all who they are and tell us why you want me to call them, because I do want to call them, and I'm going to. But I'm just saying to you, Shane, my conversation may shift just to them only. You may not be able to hear. You'll have to listen to the playback, unfortunately. This is only just in case this goes wrong. But who are these guys? Who am I expecting to reach on the line, and why is it important to speak with them?
Yeah, so it's important to speak with Mr. Eugene Fox, who is a Blackfeet elder. Eugene and his colleagues are elders and ex-chiefs of the Blackfeet Nation, and they would like to express some of their thoughts and concerns with their own issues. Dealing on the Blackfeet territory. Some of those issues being addiction issues. I'll start with the bad first. They have lots of addiction with opioids.
Sure.
But we're finding, some success with these phytonutrient blends to get them away from addiction. They're also going to speak to their own sovereignty and why sovereignty of the Blackfeet Nation is very important for this whole cannabis and hemp movement, because this is going to be the only other alternative other than pharma, big government, and big LPs. The indigenous First Nations people across Canada will be your only alternative for a good product that has that doesn't have problems with say like insecticides and so on and so forth that the large so that'd be Eugene Fox you're gonna call.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm gonna ding him now. Let's hope it goes through, and I'll ask you, Shane, if you can, to do you have a laptop or something with you?
I do. I'm on a laptop right now.
Okay, well, I don't know if it's possible, like I say, for you to hear them, but if you go to the link that Kim sent you ahead of the show, you'll be able to hear the show, and you'll be able to hear me talking to these guys, and it might turn out that you'll just need to stay 20 seconds, 10 seconds delayed or whatever it is, and you can talk after I let them go. But let's give them a call now and see.
Let's do it.
Can you hear the ring at all?
I can hear the ring.
Okay, well then maybe you're going to be able to hear them just fine. Let's see. Ring, ring, ring. I like that you hear it. I just don't know. Maybe the fellas thought I wasn't going to come through on them. After all this worrying about it, we've got a connection you can hear and they're not around. All right, well maybe you can throw them out a secret text on the secret number.
Hello.
Oh, is that Eugene?
It is.
Fantastic. Well, I'm so glad to get you on the line. My name is Alan Park. I'm calling from Toronto, not bragging, just saying. And this is Green Crush. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing really, really well today. I have a bit of a sore foot, but nothing on the topic. Listen, I've got Shane on the line. Shane, can you hear Eugene all right?
I can hear Eugene just slightly.
Oh, just slightly. Okay. Well, Eugene, we can hear. Everybody can hear you. So listen, I'm honored that you're on the show. I hope you're experiencing nice weather today. You're pretty close to the U.S. border, and
oh yeah, she's hot.
She's hot, I guess. Is that down near Okotoks or something, or even further south?
Oh no, we're down by we're 120 miles south of Calgary.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And 20 minutes to the U.S. border.
All right. Well, we do have Shane on the line with us. He can barely hear you, but why don't you tell us where we're going right now? I'd love to hear your perspective with all things cannabis and why your tribe and your people are important around this issue.
Well, the bottom line is everybody knows that the Blackfeet, Native Canadians, even the U.S., all over North America, have had their own medicines, herbs, roots, you name it. We've cured just about everything. We never were ever ill, sick. We didn't have polio, tuberculosis, cancer, anything like that because we use natural herbs. Now, the important thing is that we've been suppressed for years and haven't been able to use any of this, and then within the recent, say, 20 years or so, a lot of our herbs and roots have been killed up with all the herbicides that they're farming with, continuous farming. They're not summer following and everything. So we've kind of run out of our medicines. But we still have reserves. We have roots out there we don't tell people about. They're getting scarce, but, they're in our sacred areas. So people are limited going out there. Now, being from the Blackfeet and Blackfoot Nation, the United States, the border cut us off. We have another reserve just west of us called Brockett, Piikani, and then north of us, which is east of Calgary, called the Blackfoot, Siksika. There's the 4 tribes. Our territory ran from Edmonton, Fort Rosen to the Rockies west all the way down to Yellowstone.
Wow.
A little bit east and northeast up into Regina, and then back straight north and over to Edmonton. Now, we've been serving for years, and we've upheld our culture, our language, and now we have a dictionary. A lot of people have not been able to capture our language and write it. We have Alberters working on it, but it's pretty strong, and it's a hard language to learn. But now we're getting back into the Sovereign. The 14 existing bands that are Sovereign. We have 14 Sovereign chiefs. Now we reverted back to our sovereignty. It's never left us. We've never ceded or surrendered our land. So last July, we took our Sovereign 14 bands and registered them in Royal Court in The Hague, Netherlands, with a docket number. And we weren't rejected.
I'm sorry, that's this July or the one from last time?
July,
2017?
July 2017.
Okay.
And so the 14 bands exist. We used the Queen's bargain so that we could do things. Right now our hands are tied. We're limited. We have an Indian Act, Chief and Council, that are supposed to be following the Indian Act. And in most cases, there's a lot of mistrust, misuse of band funds and everything, and it goes on and on.
Yeah.
And we're not getting anywhere. Our people are dying. Our tribe here gets around $160 million a year capital funding to take care of the people. There's about 13,000, maybe 8,000 living on the reserve. There's nothing for the people here.
Wow.
There's no housing. There's unemployment. I myself was farming 1,750 acres. In 2014, I was asked to pay some fees to an individual, under the table kind of stuff. I refused. They took my crop away that I harvested. There's 139,000 bushels of wheat. And then they told me I was farming illegally without a permit. Well, part of that Indian Act and the treaty says I can go farm. In fact, the government supplied us seed, fertilizer, and machinery back in the day. Then we went to court, and I received in provincial court, I should have been in federal court. I was told I could no longer farm because they granted a temporary injunction on me to stay off my own property that I inherited from my father, and I compensated him for some of it too, as well as been farming. I'm a fourth-generation farmer.
Wow.
So anyways, all that got all kind of out of whack, and we decided, well, let's go back to our sovereignty, the sovereign bands. They've always been there. We have an oral history. We have written history. We have everything that it takes to put us back into where we should be so we don't have to operate under the Indian Act. And that means farming hemp, wheat, growing our herbs and spices, even some tobacco. By the way, I was issued a license. I do believe I'm the first native to manufacture my own cigarettes.
Is that right?
I got out of the tobacco business because I don't smoke. My wife doesn't smoke. And I decided, I don't want to kill people. I want to help them live.
Right.
And that's why we got into the hemp. And lo and behold, I met Shane through good people that are on the same path. We're on a happy path, not a war path.
Right. That's the place to be. Let me ask you a quick question about growing, specifically about grow. So you grow hemp, and you used to grow cannabis. You used to grow tobacco. Is that right?
Yeah, we grew tobacco for ceremonies.
Is
and
it?
Then it was commercialized, just like everything else. Our beef jerky, you name it, our mint tea, our chamomile, you name it.
Yeah. So you still need tobacco. You still need tobacco as a native. It's just not, regular cigarette sort of, 150 chemicals kind of tobacco. So is the growing of the tobacco similar, the acts that you need to do, the chores, etc., similar to growing cannabis outside for you?
Well, yeah, up here in Canada, Alberta here, as we're living on a reserve, you can't grow tobacco. Because they're afraid you're going to be as big as Rothmans of Pall Mall and all that, and you're going to sell illegal cigarettes.
You can't
I myself, when I got into the market, it was all about money, government, AITE, taxes. And they're afraid that, even when we buy a pack of cigarettes, we show our native card, and they give us back, so much off, That doesn't mean anything, because they're still taxing us.
Yeah.
There's a hidden tax. Even on the reserve, they're charging us 19% to own land.
Wow.
And then they say we're giving that money to the non-land occupant, and they don't receive it.
Yeah.
But my gosh, these guys sure have fun in Las Vegas and all these Indian national finals, and you name it.
Yeah. Well, let's turn now to one of your concerns, one of the concerns that Shane rightly brought up, and this always needs to be addressed, by the way, regardless of your community or what. This always needs to be addressed. Trouble is, it always is, but improperly and not without enough depth, not without the depth required. So you're obviously concerned, Eugene. You're obviously concerned that while you're saying all these things, you obviously don't want the younger set of your own blood, or anybody else for that matter, to go running off with this stuff at a young age and get themselves into problems, whether it's addiction or whatever it is, trouble with the law, both, whatever. So what do you try to do?
Yeah, we have lots of that. You're right. I'm against drugs. We have a problem here. We have people dying of Oxycontin, whatever that is. And dying of alcoholism, dying of diabetes, not getting the right diet.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they're inhaling all this paint thinner, you name it. I am concerned because hemp will help us.
Yeah.
Because our children now, as young as 10, 11 years old, are already on full-blown diabetics. They're using the needle.
Jeez.
Too much sugar. It was the sudden change in our diet. We went from eating buffaloes, mixed berries, roots, herbs, wild turnips. And all of a sudden, all the sugar hits us, and then alcohol, now drugs. In residential school, where they were giving us medicine, we don't even know what we were taking.
Yeah.
It all adds up that everything now that the kids on this reserve have been taking internally is killing us.
Yeah.
The sugar. I mean, you know, there's people dying of, well, believe it or not, even cirrhosis at a very young age.
Yeah.
The alcoholics here on the reserve, there's plenty of them.
When you know this kind of wrong direction has taken place, I mean, I hate listening. I hate, okay? You're not supposed to hate, right? But I do hate hearing, every time I hear it, I just want to tear a strip off of something. When I hear the phrase, oh, you know, what about the children in cannabis? What about you know, we don't want them getting in trouble. What about the children? You know, we have a little sting on the show that I put out there a while ago because it so drives me crazy. Here it is. What about the children? Oh, it's so easy to ignore them.
Please think of the children.
You know, but this is all hysteria and hyperbole because you're telling me the same thing I hate to know and hear. Sugar is in everything. I mean, you guys got saddled with it, but we've been saddled with it too. They started putting it in every single thing. It's even in salt if you buy a box of salt. Like, you can't tell me you care about the children when you're and that's why we're not having cannabis access and medicines, when you're putting it into you're putting it into savory snack treats, salty snacks. It's in salty snacks. It's in sweet snacks. It's in so many things where they lowered the fat count. This is a total fiction. These people are lying to us. So you need to understand that stuff. And guys like you that are dealing with this on a daily level and have dealt with it historically, I mean, I'm only coming to realize how many lies folks have been dealing with over the time, because I'm white and I've been lied to also.
Sure.
You know, so how do you now choose to understand, on the one hand, this cannabis is a great thing, but on the other hand, we don't want kids and younger people getting mixed up with it in the wrong way? Because it's the same way you don't want them to get mixed up with a window or a chainsaw or something else where you could, if you don't use it properly, hurt yourself.
Yeah, well, you know, when you think about it, I said, you can go out and buy a bag of pot and get high and all of a sudden go steal a car, you know, or you can do that drinking beer. People use stuff medicinally, they use it carefully, but then you start coming up with all this research where this cannabis is helping people. I've seen my grandfather die of cancer, and he would have lived longer if he would have changed his diet. But instead of giving him all these pills that just ate his stomach out, and yet he had stomach of the cancer.
Wow.
You know, the stomach and you know, but you know what? Who gives a shit? The pharmaceutical people are making millions. The doctors, you know, they're prescribing all these T3s to my people, and then they turn up the nerve to say, look at those damn drunks and drug addicts on the street around just outside my clinic. One guy comes up to me and says, I didn't want these T3s. The doctor just prescribed me 40 of them. I don't even have any aches and pains.
Wow.
I have an infection in my foot. I stepped on a nail.
Yeah.
You know, this is the kind of stuff, you know, it's the way people understand it.
Well, do you bring it in?
Them.
Do you bring it in as a tool? I mean, listen, let's go way back.
Sure, we're going to use that as a tool. They used it as a tool years ago, and then they braided ropes and used the hemp for many other things. We're not savages, you know.
Right.
Nobody in this world is uncivilized. Everybody knows that you can use hemp for many things.
Right, so that's what you're teaching them, right?
To use it. You know why? Takes money out of their pockets.
Yeah.
They like to control everything, just like Monsanto.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you know about Monsanto? Tell us about
I know that they've developed a different strain of wheat that resists all kinds of herbicides, and they got herbicides that work with other herbicides. That they developed canola where Roundup won't even kill it.
Yeah.
But then you can't use that seed to reseed your field, or you get sued. You know, they've got first right of refusal on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know all about them. They're chemical engineers that are killing the land.
All right. Well, let's turn to let's see if Shane is still there. I don't even know if I can still hear Shane. Shane, are you there?
I am.
Oh, fantastic. Say hi to Eugene. You've been listening to him the whole time, I hope.
Yeah, I have been. I'm listening to the live feed of my phone.
Hi, Shane.
So it's all good. Yeah, how you doing there, Eugene? I'm not sure if you can hear me or not.
Yeah, there's probably a delay.
Okay.
That's okay. Tell us about, you're going to get a new name. Is that right?
Yeah, they're going to give me a new name. I'm kind of excited, looking forward to it. And that's I think it's kind of an exciting thing to be. I in a sense, in my own society, I've always kind of felt like an outcast refugee, as weird as that sounds. So I feel like I'm, if I get a name, maybe it's a new home for me.
I'm looking forward to it. That'll be interesting. There'll be a whole. I'm sure there's a ceremony, and somebody wiser than us will know the best name to call you.
Absolutely, for sure.
So I hope I can get a hold of you later on Skype after that happens. When you change things, you'll have to get a hold of us if you're not using your same moniker anymore. So how do you know these guys? How did you originally meet the fellows?
I had an opportunity to go to all these 420 events, on April 20th there. And it was around April 18th, I had many invites all across the country. I could have went to all of them. And I just didn't feel right going to them for whatever reason. I declined them all. And a friend of mine, Chris, called me from northern Alberta. And he said, hey, I'm going to be headed down to the Blackfeet Nation. And they're curious to know more about hemp products. And we're bringing all these people on that, develop hemp products. And there was people there with shirts, and there was one woman there who built 40 houses out of hempcrete. So there was, she was a good engineer. So they said, bring your phytonutrient blends with you, and let's go down and show them that. And I was the last one to present, and I presented them first with terpenes, and no one at the table understood what terpenes even were. Yeah. And they were hemp derived terpenes. So I let them smell them, and terpenes are very pungent, very strong, very powerful medicine. And then I started telling them that like hemp terpenes are really going to change Western medicine for the better, and that it's and then that's all good. Oh, okay.
There we go. I don't know why you could still hear me when I was off the air.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hear you fine.
Anyway, yeah.
So okay. I had shared with them some of the phytonutrients and some of the terpenes, and talked to it as a food, and talked to it as as a way to get away from a way to start getting away from symptoms of diabetes, a way to get away from symptoms of arthritis, a way to get rid of some of these gastrointestinal problems, and a way to I tried to explain to Eugene, and he got it. I said, we've got many problems here, on this territory, and we just like we have many problems in Canada. And I said, if we can get the body right, and start to heal the body, then we can start to heal the mind or the psyche. And once we got the mind and the psyche right, then we can hear the spirit. And once we have those three things working for us, there's nothing we can't accomplish. And they really understood that. Okay, well, let me ask you this, and then maybe I know there's a bit of a delay there for Eugene to be able to respond, but that's okay. Listen, here's a question that I feel that I need to ask you right now. And Eugene was talking about how a lot of the younger natives, they fall by the wayside and they wind up huffing gasoline and all these terrible things, right? A lot of this kind of thing that can manifest in people, in biological units, regardless of their ethnic stripe, biological human beings. If they suffer from alcohol fetal syndrome, this is usually a problem later on. This is not debatable. In meth, you could have a pregnant mother who's all hopped up on meth. Chances are good that baby is going to have some problems, and so on and so forth. If you're drinking a lot while you're pregnant, during your pregnancy, and towards the end, drinking alcohol, it's gonna be problematic somehow for the baby, right? Maybe some babies worse than others, but still, not a good idea. Conversely, don't you think it would be a great idea if all of these lactating pregnant mothers or women about to get pregnant were just powering into themselves a delicious round table of all kinds of things, cannabis, from like ingesting it into their bodies in the same way that ingesting too much alcohol is going to screw you up.
maybe ingesting and drinking and juicing and every means that you can find to get it into your system. If that stuff is, if the CBD 1s and 2s are swimming around inside your breast milk, and while the baby is forming in vitro, I mean, we don't even have an experiment of this. We already know how it is kind of thing with a normal kid being raised without those triggers. We know what it's like with an alcohol fetal syndrome or a drug fetal syndrome. We don't know that, to my knowledge anyway. What is it like with a mother who has been, healthily taking in the juice, the water, and the pastes and everything you could do about it? This would be a fascinating way to go and learn about it. Get it into the system before the kid is even finished, sucking from the breast.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think that's the way it was up until to a point in history where this all got, swept under the rug. I do know from reading and doing research into livestock that were feeding on feral hemp in the U.S., that meat was some of the best quality meat ever produced.
I bet it was.
And it had very, very good health effects for the people consuming it.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, these criminals, right? These guys have done unspeakable, incalculable, unmeasurable amounts of horror against the native people. I mean, you don't have to be a genius or very well read to know this. All you would really need to do is take a glancing spin through anything written about Wounded Knee. I suggest taking it all in, but really it's horrible. So this stuff has been going on forever. They've also been marginalizing folks such as yourself as the minority they stole from. But I mean, I really cop to an innocent here. I'm a white guy. I was dragged along by these guys. I understand this is all lies and fiction, and they've also been keeping these facts away from us. They don't want an empowered populace who are completely aware of these facts, that are not reliant upon their medicine system very much. As you said at the beginning of this thing, I mean, these guys never got sick. They were taking everything in they were supposed to take in before medicine shows up, and then hilariously calls everything else alternative medicine. I just don't understand why people don't understand that. I mean, anyway, to the point I'm trying to say is this. Having Eugene on, getting these points across, yourself, Shane, getting these points across, this isn't really a ton of research that needs to be done. This is just an uncovering and an access to the research that's already been done.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
I can't even tolerate more people they say this thing, it drive you nuts. You ever hear this, Eugene? They say, well, we don't know that stuff's healthy. And then you say, well, no, it's good for this and that. I've tried it on some things. They go, well, there's not enough research. And you go, well, that's because it's illegal. And they go, well, that's because it's dangerous. And then you say, well, how do they know that if they don't have enough research? And around you go, right? Like, it's just stupid.
Exactly.
Right. So,
yeah. Well, I'd like to, I'd sure like to, I don't figure I'm done with my traveling days yet. And I'd sure like to, I've got all kinds of reasons to head out west. And I sure hope I can get out to see some of you fellas and what you're doing. Tell us again, what the name of your product is, what do you expect to do, and how you're going to be part of the new economy of all of this cannabis world.
Okay, so those are good questions. So our company, once again, is Blackfeet Health Products. We're registered on the Blackfeet territory. Some of those products include a full tincture line, which is a medicine you put sublingually under your tongue through a dropper mechanism. There's 5 different blends of products there just in the sublingual line. And those are blends that are, people that are just looking to maintain. And then there's blends that are for people that have, serious ailments. So we have a blend that's for anti-diabetic. We have another blend that's for anti-anxiety. There's an anti-inflammation. There's a gastrointestinal blend, and then just our original blend that is just for, basically maintenance and to help people maintain their healthy lifestyle. So they all go up in volume of strength and milligrams. So, from very, right down to the low level of power, right up to really high power phytonutrients. So, and those work great. We've got topicals. Topical creams that are made from various mushrooms that have really good antivirus and antibacterial effects. Great for like things with help with pneumonia, things that are virus borne, things like hand and foot and mouth disease, which is a big deal here in Alberta. I don't know why. Yeah, so those are made with like Garicon mushrooms and some other mushrooms that we use in a blend. We also are going into helping people with their addictions, from opioids, cigarettes, or alcoholism. So we found that using a phytonutrient blend administered 3 times a day while vaping CBD oil helps sequester the brain into tricking it's got its fix of either opioids or nicotine or alcohol, and it's a way to beat the demon, if you will. So as you keep the brain sequestered and the body sequestered, and keeps releasing anandamide, that's what's going on here. The anandamide is being released into the brain, tricks the brain into thinking it's got its fix, and that's a good way to deal with all those addictions. I've seen firsthand people that have been smoked cigarettes that took the program serious. Within 8 to 9 weeks, they've completely nicotine free.
And let's also remember that it's not only, I don't know what those folks were smoking, nicotine, but, stuff that grows in the ground. Commercial stuff is different from the stuff that grows in the ground. Okay, I've smoked and occasionally do smoke sacramental tobacco that doesn't have all these other chemicals in it. So when you're addicted to cigarettes, it's not only tobacco that you're addicted to, probably.
No.
You've got some other addiction to some other bizarre combination of the, I think it's over 151 chemicals, depending on the brand name of whatever it is you're taking in. So you're already behind the 8 ball. But I'm going to put this out here, and I'd like to hear from Eugene on this before we go in a couple of minutes. And you're still there, Eugene?
I am. You bet.
Okay. So these chemicals, all right, this particular substance, the substances in cannabis that they tell us when we use it, it's a crutch, you're being lazy, this is a bad thing. Somehow they don't have that problem when you're taking a regular pharma painkiller because you got pain. They'll say, oh, that's good, you're taking your medicine. Folks that are really lost, let's say, or heading towards addiction, and I know we have a great struggle with that in your community in general with a lot of the younger kids. I really think and I really believe that this whole notion that we have been listening to, like a repeated program of brainwashing forever, about how you don't really use all of your brain. You only use 10% of your brain. And I think that that's probably not true at all. I think we're using our brain all the time, just like I'm using all of my gallbladder right now. I'm currently using all of my lungs at the moment, whether I'm in a full inhale or exhale. And I think that the brain has been a real punching bag, if you don't mind, for what can and can't go into it. And I know they've been lying about so many things, and now it's been shown that this stuff can actually be positive for the brain. I really wonder if there's any way or any stories or any kind of insight you have into saying, look, I know a lot of kids get messed up by covering up all the shit of the world and falling into addiction, but if you just find some people, and I know some people that have done this, to go the other way and turn it around so that they know so much that they don't feel trapped and needing to fall into that addiction. Is any of that worth anything to you?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I really think that people can have little switches flipped on and off inside them. And when you've been repeatedly told things that aren't true by people you repeatedly believe have authority over you, and then later you find out they're not true, those are usually not the only things they're lying about. There's a few other things kicking around. But I hope you can find a way to get that message across, and that folks coming to get your product are getting it for help and not for other than getting off of addictions. I hope they're not getting it for the wrong reason. And we do have to be vigilant. This is not a toy, but it's not something that should be locked away forever. I mean, that's for sure.
Exactly.
So I'm going to leave you guys to your day, and thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been a bit of a rough start getting you both on at the same time, but I'm really glad we did. I'm glad we held out Last week we were going to go without Eugene, and that would have been a mistake. So, thanks for listening, guys. And if you've been listening to the show, we will be sending out very shortly the new prize pack. Shane.
Yeah.
Did you have anything you want to add?
I guess, maybe we need to do a follow-up here, and we can officially launch this as September gets a little closer, and maybe we could bring some other guests on that can speak firsthand to their own testimonials of these phytonutrient blends, and maybe that's something we could do in the future. But I'm really happy that Eugene got to tell his story of Blackfeet Nation, to this platform, and I'm really excited to see how maybe green crush turns into blue mush.
Hey, you never know. We do have some ideas. I don't know if it's going to be a whole show or just an adjunct to this one, but it's definitely part of the picture, and we do want to bring it. So I want to thank again Eugene Fox for coming on the air. Shane, for now, is Shane Pollock, right? Pollock? Yeah, but you're going to have a different name later on, so I'm not going to get too stuck on that. But thanks very much for listening.
Right on. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Alan.
Take care. Have a good one.
Take care.
Green Crush, 121.49 out.
Right on. Bye.
Hi, I'm Timmy.
And I'm Mary Jane. He's the newbie.
She's the doobie. And this is the show
where we
tote
cannabis.
Talk.
From both sides.
Is that even possible?
Stay tuned. We'll be back after.